So this is the July 27th, 2023 LOCAC meeting. I am Trish Bartel. I'm the chair of LOCAC. So this is the call to order and the roll call. Patrick McGibney.
Here.
Andrea Luker.
Present.
Kristen Horowitz.
Present.
Danielle.
Not Sarah. You gotta do it right. That's my name.
I almost had it. I almost had it. I'm going to practice next time. Larry Bender.
Present.
Deborah Howe.
Present.
John Lent.
Barely present.
Thank you. Jim Stanfield.
Yes.
Molly Brown.
Molly, are you,
If it is Molly, she's muted, so.
oh. Let's get you unmuted.
So do we have Molly?
I think so. I asked her to unmute.
Okay. Well, let's go on and hope that Molly unmutes. So I'll circle that. Chairperson announcement.
Hold on, here's Ron Munns. Let me get some more people. Lindy. I'm just gonna get everybody admitted here. Jacob.
Okay. Chairperson announcements. I am sorry to say that Larry Rayo resigned yesterday morning and he will not be on the council and he will be sorely missed. My other announcements is just a reminder to everyone that we do have a code enforcement how-to sheet, how to contact code enforcement if you have any issues in your neighborhood or community, and it's on our website. Also a reminder that codes and definitions that pertain to all of our projects, I sent that out to all of council members and is also on our website. Do we have any council member announcements?
Yes, I have an announcement, Trish. The Cabrillo Estates Property Owners Association held a meeting with the owner of Microseptic. Microseptic is a company that builds advanced septic systems. There are 2 areas in Los Osos that require you to replace your old septic if it fails with a new advanced system. It's basically a mini wastewater treatment plant. And that's Cabrillo Estates and also Bayview Heights. Those areas are not on the sewer. And so if your septic system fails, then you are required under the county's LAMP, which stands for Local Area Management Program, to replace your system with this type of advanced system. We had a presentation by Michael Sundberg, the owner of the Microseptic business. He explained how the system works. He showed us pictures and discussed some of the costs that are involved with replacing your septic system. This meeting was recorded. And there is a link. We'll be posting it on the LOCAC website, and I'm assuming that it will also be posted on the CEPOA website, which is the Property Owners Association website for Cabrillo Estates. So good information there for anybody who is not on sewer and maybe under this particular program.
Thank you.
Patrick, you have a question for me?
No.
No.
I can put my hand up for comment.
Okay, your council member announcements. What do you have, Patrick?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you, Trish. Briefly, remembering the bylaws are our guiding documents, both on purpose and action. I'd like to take a few minutes to read a few quotes from them and our policies and procedures. First, our purpose. Section 1 states, quote, to develop a unified cooperative effort among all individuals, organizations, and public jurisdictions interested in supporting, advising, planning, and developing an environment aimed at enhancing a positive quality of life for the Los Osos community. Section 2 says, to establish an organization representative of the people of Los Osos in matters of community and civil and civic interest, end of quote. To be representative, we discuss these interests through agenda items each month. Sometimes community members will present them on their own when they comment on items not on the agenda, but that closes any discussion. They can also request their issues to be put on the agenda by writing a letter to LOCAC chair, or more informally asking the district representative that represents them to have it put on the agenda. This is another quote on agendas. The chairperson is responsible for drafting the monthly LOCAC agendas with input from the entire council, end of quote. From our policies and procedures manual under preparations and distribution of the agenda, it says, quote, after the chairperson has received the requested input from the council, the chairperson shall prepare an agenda, end of quote. And the last one, in Exhibit B of our policies and procedures, it says this: I agree to consult with my constituents, and to bring knowledge, opinions, and concerns of my constituents to LOCAC in order to best present their interests. Which brings me to why these quotes are relevant. As the rest of the council, we hope to invite more public participation. As a representative of District 1, I was confronted and asked by several of my constituents to have the issues of over-amplified music put on the agenda for discussion, not only so the county representatives present here could hear their concerns, but also the rest of the council could also. And we could have some discussion on the possible mitigating solutions of these issues. Lastly, I was also informed that several constituents missed the last meeting, as I did, because there were 5 Thursdays in the last month and not the usual 4, which are usually the last Thursday of the month. There's a simple solution for that, which will make it easier for everyone to remember when we meet. That's why I've requested both these items to be put on the agenda. And I apologize to the community for not being able to get them into our newsletter, so more community members could have been alerted to them and be here tonight to voice their concerns and thoughts. That's all. Thank you so much.
Any other announcements from council? Okay, let's move on then to county and local reports. Is Sergeant Abbas here? Anybody see him?
I don't see him.
If so, raise your hand, please. I didn't see him come in. Okay, Captain Klingenberg, I know you are here, and I'm going to ask you to unmute. There you.
I am here.
Yep, there you
Sorry.
are.
I'm trying to push the button for whatever reason it's not working.
Well, we
Good
can
evening.
hear and see you, which is wonderful.
Very good. Thank you so much. Good evening, Los Osos Citizens Advisory Council. For the month of June, in and around Los Osos, we made 1 DUI arrest not involving a collision. We had 2 DUI arrests that did involve a collision. Both of those were solo vehicles with solo occupants. One of them was a non-injury collision, and the other was a collision that did involve injury to, again, the driver and solo occupant that we arrested. And then we had 2 non-injury collisions also occur in the Los Osos area. One at 9th Street and the other on Los Osos Valley Road or east of, Clark Valley Road. So those were the incidents for the month of June, and I am available for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. I see Patrick has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. There was a situation that happened on the 1100 block of 3rd Street a couple weeks ago. Do you have any information on what that was about?
An incident of what type?
I have no idea. There was several cars there, sheriff cars, and there was an individual, and it was actually right in front of my driveway.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that incident at all. If there were highway patrol cars there, I might be able to look that up, but if it was just if there were sheriff's cars, I probably would not have any information on it.
All right, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, is there any questions from the public? I see Dave and Bev have their hand up. I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, I just missed the cross street on 9th Street.
Let me give that to you. Well, probably because I looked at it and was a little confused because it says 9th Street east of 9th Street. Oh, no, I take it back. Okay, here's what it was. It occurred at an address of 2190 9th Street. That's where it
Thank
occurred.
you.
Yep, I apologize.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Captain Klingenberg, thank you so much.
Okay,
Definitely appreciate you being here tonight.
no problem. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to Claire. And I just see
I
you.
think, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, great. Yes, I'm Claire Momberger, planner with County of Slow Planning and planner with County of Slow Planning and Building. I shared the active permits and plan report with Trish and Deborah and Larry earlier this week. There were no tree removal requests in the LOCAC area since last month's report. If in your review of those active plans and permits you come across any questions, I'd be happy to look into those. In terms of more of an announcement, I'm excited to say the Los Osos Retrofit to Build study was published back on June 30th, 2023, last month. That is on our county website. An email went out to all interested party lists with the link to the study. But if you have trouble finding that, please reach out. I can help you locate where that study is. And I believe I'm going to be able to give a presentation on the results of the study at next month's LOCAC
Yes,
meeting.
yeah, you're on the agenda for next month.
Great, yeah, that would be great. That conversation, that discussion, that presentation will not necessarily be focused on growth rates or development in Los Osos, but strictly about the study, its analysis, and the results. I'm excited to bring that forth next month. And then a hearing date for the Board of Supervisors to consider amendments that could be made to Title 19 for our Retrofit to Build program has still not yet been scheduled. And any policy changes will be subject to approval of the board at a public hearing. So just a reminder of that. And that's my announcement.
And Kristen was very nice to go ahead and put on our chat the link to the report. So if anybody wants it, it's right there. And Andrea, you have a question for Claire?
Yeah, I'm sure Claire's already knows what my question is, but any update on the habitat conservation plan?
Not at this time, Andrea.
All right. Well, at least you know I'm always going to ask.
Yeah, I love it.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, Deborah.
Yes, I have a question, Claire. There's been a lot of confusion about guest homes in Los Osos versus ADUs, and also questions about whether or not you can have a countersink or a wet bar in a house. Could you just explain what the county regulations are and why there's some confusion around that?
Sure. So I can just start with my offhand definition of a guest house. I don't have the code pulled up in front of me at this moment, but a guest house is basically an additional space that does not require an internal connection to a primary residence. It's intended not for permanent use and is limited in the kind of amenities it can have. So there's no full kitchen, that kind of thing that's allowed to be permitted in a guest house. Something like a wet bar with just a sink. There's nothing in the coastal land use ordinance or Title 23 that restricts a wet bar that's truly just a wet bar with a sink. Nothing in our code restricts that from being built in something like a guest house. And any additions to a residence that are greater than 120 square feet in size are subject to our Title 19 offset program.
And so just to be clear, guest houses are permitted in Los Osos.
Correct.
They are not illegal.
They're not illegal at this time. They are permitted by our county code.
Thank you. Then we have John. I'm going to ask you to unmute. And it begins.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Oh, wonderful. So I was wondering about the status of a business permit that has been ongoing for a long time. As my recollection is that we're coming on to over 2 years for the Los Osos nursery permit request that never seems to get out of the county planning department. And I'm wondering, I'm not asking for an answer now, but I wondered if you can look into the long delay in this particular permit in hopes that we can get a resolution of it up or down fairly soon.
That John, that's the name.
This is John,
Yes,
yes.
John.
John, could you maybe send me an email just describing that? Because or if you have a permit number, that would be helpful for me to
Yes.
track it down.
I'll do that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Molly.
Okay, you can hear me okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, so with the guest house, another question about that one, Claire, was just, do they have to be separate from the main house, or could they also be connected to the main house?
The code states that they do not have an internal connection.
Okay. Thank you.
So does that mean it could be attached, but it just can't have a commuting door that commutes between the main space and the guest space? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions for Claire?
Yeah, I have one. So I had some questions for Claire, but that were, I think, emailed to her. So
They will be emailed to her in the morning. Molly
Okay.
sent me a list of questions, and I will be sending those to you, Claire,
Okay.
tomorrow, so that we can all go through those.
yeah, okay, great, thanks.
All right, if there's no other questions for Claire, let's move on to Jake for his discussion on our Los Osos Valley Road project.
Excellent, thank you. Would it be possible to give Ariel Godwin presentation rights to share screen?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you to unmute also. And there, you should be able to share screen, and you guys are both unmuted.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. Let's bring it up.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you. We'll just wait here. Let's go ahead and get it started.
All right, can everyone see that?
Yeah, so thanks for having us tonight. I know it's a full agenda, so we're gonna try and keep a really fast pace on this. But essentially what our goal tonight is to introduce the project of the Los Osos Valley Corridor Concept Plan, let you know that we're starting on it, to give you the information about all of the public engagement tools, all of the milestones that we're looking to meet, and all of the just the general project direction that we're working on, and then also to take feedback on that. So before we get started, I just wanted to do some introductions of the folks that are on the call. So my name is Jake Hudson. I'm the Transportation Projects Manager. I'll be the point of contact on the project. So it'll be my face, my voice that everyone mainly sees and hears as we move forward on this. And then you'll have my contact information. I'll be the one that if you've got a question, a comment, please feel free to email me, call me. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have my boss, Joshua Roberts, on the presentation today. He's the overall transportation division manager. He'll be looking at the development of this plan within the context of the overall county's transportation division and everything else that the county is working on and doing. And then these are just the main players. There's a lot of other people that are backing up this project, but supporting us also to throughout this project is our consultant team, GTS. And I'll have Ariel just do a quick introduction and then we'll move on.
Thank you, Jake, and good evening, everyone. I'm Ariel Godwin, transportation planner with GTS and project manager for this project. And our company's principal is Rawad Hani, but I don't believe he's on the call this evening. Thank you.
All right, so just, what we really thought was important to talk about is what this project is and what it isn't. So, essentially we have about 4 to 5 different project plans and EIR documents that have been developed over the years. And the primary goal here is to consolidate, reconcile, and define all of the stuff that are in those plans into one consolidated document. We understand that, some of the things that have been identified in those are very broad. And so this is an opportunity to really get down into the design details. We understand that there may be gaps in between the project improvements. We also understand that some of the things that may have been thought of as we develop those plans, they may have constraints that weren't originally anticipated. So it's a bit of trying to fit the puzzle pieces together. And to do that, I would say the main core effort of what we're doing is we're actually doing engineering work. We're doing preliminary designs on what's been coming out of those plans to see how those all fit together, what the constraints are, how we can adjust and adapt and make everything essentially work. And then once we have that put together, what we want to work with LOCAC on and our community partners is to develop a prioritization framework for identifying what's low-hanging fruit that we can implement immediately. What are the various opportunities to implement these projects through, if we have another like a paving project that comes through, are there opportunities to implement these improvements coupled with another project? Is there a development project where we're setting this up to where it becomes a frontage requirement, things like that? Ultimately, what this plan will do is it'll provide a tool for us to pursue funding mechanisms. So we've got all these other ways of implementing all these various all these various improvements, but with this plan, what it'll do is it'll give us the information and the leverage we need to go after all the various monies that are out there to get the projects that have been contemplated for years implemented and done. So that's what this project is. What the project isn't is we're not trying to undo all the work that's been done in the 4 previous plans. We're trying to work within the framework of the previous plans that have come before us. That being said, some of those plans were very broad, and so there's a lot of opportunity for for refining and defining what those projects are. But we're not looking for, or I guess the scope of the project, because it has to fit within that framework. This can't incorporate new starts that are outside the scope of all the work that's already been done to date. So let's go to the next slide, Ariel. So just as an overall project approach and timeline, there's essentially 2 really critical pieces that we use to develop this plan on top of essentially the base work that's already been done with the 4 plans that we've identified. And that's the technical analysis. So we're doing traffic operations analysis. We're looking at the physical constraints to topographic constraints, environmental constraints. And then we're also coupling that with public outreach, public feedback to understand what the community wants and needs. And so it really is a combined effort between those 2 types of disciplines to further the different improvements along the corridor that have been contemplated in these various plans. So we actually started this project back in May, but a lot of the work that's been happening since May is just figuring out what's out there currently. So we've been compiling the plans and the as-built, and I can answer questions if you're not familiar with some of this terminology. But if we're just trying to build a base plan of what's out there currently and doing some initial analysis. And then tonight is really where we're launching our public outreach campaign to couple with that technical analysis, that engineering analysis. So we're really, and we anticipate that to continue through from August through the winter of 23. There's no hard deadlines yet, but that's what we're anticipating. After school comes back in session in the fall, we'll have a pretty big data collection effort and more analysis that will happen then. We'll be coming back to LOCAC and to our other partner agencies with the progress. So this is not going to be the first time that you guys see us, but we'll be coming back in between then and even after our draft plan, which we're currently targeting for 2024. And then right now we're targeting the summer of 2024 to have a plan that's ready to go to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration of adoption. So Ariel, if you can go to the next page. So again, what's really important to understand is that public engagement is a big piece of this. And this is, we've had other corridor projects that we've been developing throughout the county. Vineyard Drive is probably the one that's in Templeton is the one that's most current and that's currently underway, and that will be going most recent, or will be going most soonly. And we're modeling it after that. So essentially what we've developed is an interactive public engagement platform via website. And we can, we're trying to funnel everybody to the website. And then also if people don't have access to the website, and we've got other public comments that we're taking directly, we'll be entering those in as well. So over the next couple of weeks, what you'll be seeing is that we're going to start posting the signs that you see with the aerial and the sign right there. You'll start seeing these signs pop up along the sort of the downtown, the commercial corridor in Los Osos that are directing people, basically letting people know that we're doing this work and directing them to the website, which has all the information about what we're doing. We also have other outlets that we're focusing on. We'll be doing press releases. Like I said, we'll be coming back to LOCAC. We're working with the farmers market to get an information booth, again, to direct people, answer questions, and then also take feedback. This will be posted on the county website. And then, ultimately at the end of the day, the plan will be before the Board of Supervisors for their consideration, and we'll be notifying the board as updates as we go along. But really, the website will be, I would say, the repository for all of the public input that we're getting. So, like I said, if we're getting something that is not directly inputted, then staff or a consultants will be inputting that information. And I'm going to hand it over to Ariel just to give you a quick overview of the website and some of the, just the really good information that helps us develop these designs and evolve these plans. So go ahead, Ariel.
Thank you, Jake. Let's take a quick tour of the website. If we click on this link here, and it has a fairly easy URL to remember, tinyurl.com/LOBR corridor, and you'll start to see that QR code around in our outreach materials as well. It is accessible, of course, via mobile as well. But here's the website.
So Ariel, I think you're on a different screen. I'm not seeing the website.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I will switch screens. Okay, can you see it now?
There we go. Perfect.
Great. So here's the website. Logos and a photo up at the top. The interesting stuff is down here. We've got an overview of the project. We've got links to the 4 plans that Jake's been talking about, giving an overview of. These 4 plans that need to be consolidated and refined, and a list of ways to get involved. Over here, we have the interactive map where you can post comments. Let's take a brief tour here. This shows the whole study area, and you can post comments within the study area. So to post a comment at a specific location, you do have to zoom in quite a bit because it's a large study area. But once you get close to where you want to comment, you can add something here, and it's split up by mode: driving, pedestrian, transit, bike, or if it doesn't fit into any of those categories, just another comment. Let's test it out. You once you click your icon there, you move it around like this, as in similar apps, to choose your location. So let's say we want to post a comment about this intersection right here. If we're happy with our location, we place the marker here, and this pops up. Now you can be completely anonymous. You don't have to put in your name if you don't wish to. You do have to put in some sort of a comment. You can attach a photo if you like, and then you can simply drop your comment there. And once people have posted comments here, you'll be able to see what people have posted on the website, and you can even drop right into Street View to look at the location if you so choose. So that's the interactive map. Let's take a quick look at the survey as well. We do appreciate responses for the survey. It's very brief. There are only 5 questions. It just asks how you use Los Osos Valley Road, what travel modes you use. Do you ever avoid it, as in take a cut-through route for some reason? And what are your primary concerns? That's an open-ended question, and also an open-ended box here. What transportation improvements would you like to see there? So we do hope to see some a good number of responses on there. Up here, finally, at the bottom of the website, we've got the project timeline. And over here, we have upcoming event notifications. You'll notice we have something coming up on the 14th, and we've got contact info here below. I'll just go back to our slides. I'm sorry. On the back end of the website, on this platform, this shows. This slide here shows the kind of backend data analysis that we can get out of this website platform. This is from a prior project, and we had close to 200 responses on here, and the backend data analysis is very informative. I'm going to hand it back to Jake for a brief discussion of agency coordination.
Yeah, so also I just want to add that with Templeton, we had just a fantastic response and engagement on that project, and it really did help so significantly how we formulated the plans that are being developed right now. And that ultimately in Templeton, that's something that's still being worked out, but it was such a great tool, and we're essentially trying to duplicate that now. What I wanted to say just very briefly on this slide is that, we've got the public engagement, the technical analysis, a part that that you'll see in the plan development and as we work forward is, and I'm not going to read through everything, but there is a substantial number of government agencies and government agency interests that we're also coordinating with to make sure that the improvements that we're planning along the corridor meets everybody's needs. It meets the community needs, and it meets the needs at the specific locations across the board. So, we've got community engagement, we've got technical analysis, and then we've got sort of I would say our external and internal agency and partner coordination. All right, Ariel, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So a brief look at the scope of the plan here. The overall, we're looking at from the state park over to the foothill, but the main corridor that's the most attention to detail is between Rodman and Palomino here, including this whole area downtown and also the foothill intersection. What will the final plan look like? This is an example from another city that shows the level of detail, probably the aesthetics, the level of design, and the elements that we're looking to create for this. So several roadway cross sections and detailed preliminary designs. Let's take a quick look at an example within the corridor. This shows, this is the downtown section and shows with project lines color-coded by plan. This shows kind of the interaction of the overlapping projects in the different plans. So we can kind of see how there's a lot going on and how there's an opportunity to consolidate and refine. So the types of improvements we'd be looking at here, bringing all of this together from the county bikeways plan, the community plan, and the circulation study would be things like signal modifications, bike and pedestrian trails, closing sidewalk gaps, closing bicycle facility gaps, and some raised medians and bulb outs to beautify and the area and calm the traffic, and also turn pockets in the medians and of course crosswalks.
Speed limit signs, etc.
I'm going to turn
Notice about schools, and school is closed several years ago.
Going to turn it back to Jake for some closing remarks.
Yeah, well, I didn't quite get that comment, but
Let's just wait till you're done. Let's wait till you're done, and then we'll do it.
This is our last, this is our last slide. So one thing I wanted to apologize, we don't, so right now is, we're at the very early stages of developing the plan. Right now, we're just sort of setting up our base plans, working through all of the 4 to 5 different plans that have been developed. And like I said, there's not a tremendous amount of information on some of the types of improvements. There's more detailed information on other types of improvements. So right now, we're just taking our best shot at developing that. And then we're going to, as we are receiving comments and information and doing technical analysis, we're going to continue to evolve what we have, and then we'll be coming back. But this is also a great opportunity for LOCAC to provide feedback back to the county, and then also maybe what we'll do is we'll use, and this is not maybe the first comment that we get if it's specific to a condition along the corridor. We can use this as an example to enter it in on the website. But essentially, we're ready to take comments, questions on both the process, the steps that we're taking, and then also just overall what things are looking for in the corridor. It might take too long if we try to cover everything on the corridor, so I would really encourage you to use the website, which is listed here. My contact information is listed here, but it's also on the website as well. So you don't necessarily have to write it down, just to make sure that you go to the website. I will provide the chair with the website, and maybe the chair can distribute that. But it's also going to be literally posted all over the corridor in a couple of weeks. So there will be, and it'll be through press releases, news releases, county website. So it'll be very clear on how to get there. I would also say that we're targeting the August 8th. Is it the 8th, Ariel, for the farmers market?
14th is what we've
14th.
Had on
Yeah,
the
you're right.
calendar.
14th, August 14th, farmers market. We're targeting that just to set up a table, have all the information, take input and feedback, and then also just create awareness about what we're doing, and try to solicit as much feedback as we can possibly get. So yeah, essentially that's the end of the presentation. Like I said, I'm sorry we don't have more about the projects yet, because we really haven't started that effort yet. We're essentially building the foundation for developing that at this point. But we just wanted to be here, let you know that we're starting to work on this, and we're starting our public outreach campaign essentially tonight with the committee. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the committee for having us out tonight.
Jake, thank you so much. And we will also add this to our website, and we'll add it to our newsletter. And
Excellent. Thank you.
if you allow me to see my screen again, I know I have some people that have questions. Deborah is the first one with her hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Jake. We're thrilled to be having this corridor study here. You and I have talked about how important this project is for us. And I have already, as you well know, started collecting comments from our community, and I've been saving them, and I will make sure that those people get onto the interactive map and insert their comments directly so that you can have that data that you so desperately need. So it's not just good enough for me to have it on paper, but you need it on your website, and I will do my best to make sure that happens.
Are there any other questions from council? John?
I too am very excited about this study. You talked about low-hanging fruit. There's a giant watermelon hanging between Palisades and Petro, where we not only have the need for a walking and biking trail and a safe route to schools, there is room there to build it, and not 20 years from now, but soon. And the community would like to have the opportunity to walk up and down LOVR, to ride bikes up and down LOVR, and to be safe doing it. My wife tried to cross the street the other day in downtown Los Osos, and it was an interesting exercise crossing the street with her on her bike and my grandson on his little bike. So there's a great interest in improvements that you'll be talking about, and I just wanted to encourage you to take a look at what could be done easily.
Thank you so much. Are there any other council members who have questions, comments? Okay, let's go to the public. Lindy? Go, let me ask you to unmute, sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Jake and Ariel. I just had a suggestion and hopefully a request that the community get a better chance than farmers market. Not a lot of people that might be interested will be at farmers market. So that's just a beginning point, but I would suggest something at the community center where once it's further along and you really want to pull more community-wide input into ideas that have already been worked through, that we have a bigger meeting at like the community center, because I think that's what we've done in the past, and it really does get the community to come and hear more about what's going on. So, and then I had one other just comment. You had the list of agencies, and you had, I didn't see LOCAC on there. Is that because you're addressing LOCAC tonight? And it seems like LOCSD and LOCAC should be side by side.
Yeah, and so this is so it's when we say agency or TTAC, what we're talking about are governmental agencies that that have particular duties and responsibilities and authorities over their disciplines. And so the LOCAC is, I would say, is one of the more important public outreach group or the public facing groups that we're working with. So that's absolutely, LOCAC is not excluded from that.
Okay.
That list was specifically meant to represent the public agency coordination, such as SLOCOG, Slow City, only because it, this also does include Foothill and LOVR. that's just the public agency facing list. But there's also the public engagement and public facing aspect of that, which is what LOCAC is, and we're using and we're engaging with LOCAC on that front, and then also out in the community, like you've said.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions from the community? Okay, Council Patrick?
Yes, I just had one quick question. We're going to be working on the bridge also on South Bay Boulevard at some point. And I'm just wondering if these two projects go at the same time. Just this last year, we had work done on LOVR and then also on South Bay Boulevard. And we had one-lane roads on both sections. So we had a lot of blockage with a lot of traffic. And if we'd had an emergency accident happening, there would be no escape route to get out of here. So I'm just wondering how you might mitigate that.
Yeah, so what we're looking at right now are what we're trying to develop are the actual improvements that are going to go into place. When we look at the traffic control plans and the traffic handling plans of how certain construction projects are coordinated with each other, that actually happens when we're going to construction and we're coordinating and scheduling those. We're just not at that point yet with the improvements that have been identified in these 4 plans. But as we work into first the low-hanging fruit, we'll certainly be looking at what's also happening elsewhere within the region to make sure that those projects don't conflict with each other from a traffic control standpoint and don't conflict. So I would say that's more of an on the ground construction aspect. That's a little bit beyond what we're developing as part of this plan.
Thank you very much, Jake. Thanks, Patrick. All right, Jake, thank you so much for the report. We really appreciate it. Let's move on to the supervisor report.
I'm raising my hand.
Oh,
Can you see me?
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Margaret, I can see you.
Yes, I would like to ask a question. So in the very beginning, when you started your presentation, you said something, I don't know exactly what it was, but you said that your group is not going to be doing other projects that are either being worked on or are completed. And I'm wondering what projects those might be that you were talking about.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So, essentially my point is that there's been a tremendous amount of work across several different planning efforts to develop essentially 4 to 5 planning documents. And that's the framework that we're working within. And there is a lot of leeway and flexibility within that framework. What we can't do, what's outside the scope of this project are essentially new starts. So if it's already within the framework of what's been already approved by the board, we're essentially just taking those projects, or essentially we're taking those projects to the next step in implementation. So we're trying to avoid, essentially diluting the pool of projects. Not to say that that we aren't refining, defining, and filling in gaps and figuring how the pieces all fit together. But essentially, we're taking what's already been developed and authorized by the board to the next stage. That's essentially what this is. If there's something new that hasn't already been identified or is something that's completely outside the framework of the 4 or 5 planning documents that we've already developed, there's a different path for that. If that, and I can further explain that. I don't know if that was a good enough explanation.
I think that's very good. And we can keep looking at your website to get more answers as it progresses. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, we need to move on, I think. Supervisor Gibson is not available tonight, but we have Blake Fixler, which is to me just as good.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, there wasn't a lot going on in the county, and I don't know if that's good or bad. The board did take a 2-week break at the end of the fiscal year, came back, had a few updates, mostly some land use items. One thing though that was Los Osos specific that I did want to mention, since we're on the topic of LOVR and something that's been brought to our attention a few times over the years, the board on July 18th did approve a speed limit change on LOVR between Palisades and Montana de Oro from 40 to 35 miles per hour. And that might not seem like a big deal to some of you, but to those of you who've been asking our office about that for a long time, I want to thank you and Public Works for crossing the finish line on that one. So looking forward to that, and maybe Mr. Limp, that might help a little bit ahead of any sort of improvements, at least some lower speeds in that area.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Also, you might have seen in the news, there was an appeal on the July 18th meeting for the congregation Beth David down on the other end of LOVR, who wanted to subdivide their 92-acre parcel for future housing development. The board did unanimously decide to uphold the Planning Commission's decision to reject the project, citing that the SLO County zoning code didn't allow for property to be divided into smaller parcels for a variety of reasons. Some upcoming items that might be of interest. On August 8th, we are to receive the Parks and Recreation Annual Report. Also of interest, on August 22nd, an update on offshore wind. That's all I had prepared for my report tonight. There's a few items later on the agenda I'll stick around for, but as always, happy to answer any questions or look up anything that I might be able to if I don't have the answer tonight.
Thank you. We have a question first from Andrea.
Hi, Blake. Real
Hey.
quick, it's been a while since Wade Horton left, and I know there's an interim CAO now, but what is the plan and what's happening with the permanent replacement for the county administrative officer?
That is a good question. I don't know the specifics on if a recruitment drive has been started yet by the HR department. The way I imagine this would go, and I think I spoke about this when Wade had first resigned, is that for a recruitment of this level, they're probably going to go to a third party recruiter. And it's not just going to be something that's posted on the county's website for application, but like a very broad search. So I don't know any specifics on the timing of that. We did approve the extension of the interim's contract for an additional 9 months. So I think we have some time, but I imagine that process will get started here pretty soon. I just don't have a specific answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kristen, you're up.
I just wanted to highlight that I saw on Don Ortiz Leg's feed that the county is getting involved with Lean Six Sigma. And I'd be really, and with the planning department, which I thought was very relevant for here. So if you had any information on that, that'd be great to hear about.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on Lean Six Sigma. I guess that puts me as a white belt in the terminology.
Good enough. Nice.
Our interim CAO, Mr. Nylon, he was a fan of that program and has been working. They're going to start with the county planning department to see if we can streamline some of the stuff in that department. I'm interested more in just learning about what it is, but it's something that I think the county as an organization is going to be looking at in the next 9 or so months, and but with a new CAO continuing to roll forward on that program. So I know that it exists, and we just got an email about it on Friday, but I don't know much more than that.
I used it for an entire 500-bed hospital in Newport Beach. It works wonderful. You can streamline so much through it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm a green belt, and I was like, my goodness, that's going to make planning so much more simple, and I hope it catches fire. So,
well, I'm a fan of streamlining government.
Yeah.
I really am, and that's coming from a government employee.
Thank you so much, Blake. If there's no other questions, we'll just go ahead and move on.
Was that public questions too?
Margaret has a question.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking you to unmute, Margaret.
am I on?
Yep, you're on.
Hi, Blake. Besides the work that I don't remember the name of that company that the gentleman works for, GTS or was that it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
besides what they're doing, which is basically, it looks like studying what to do, does the county have any plans to do anything in Los Osos in the near future?
Is that the end of the question?
Yes, as you know, I guess my husband mentioned, crossing LOVR when there isn't a signal is, I mean, it's extremely dangerous, I think.
Sure.
And I cross it quite a bit to walk from my house up to Highland. And I don't know, I just wonder if there's any sort of plan to do, not sidewalk, but, trails that people can walk on that are off the highway or anything, just anything.
I don't know if there's anything specific like that, immediately planned. I think that's part of what, the project that we just heard about is looking for, because one thing I've found is that if you're going to start doing that kind of stuff and you're going to go looking for grants, they want it to be shovel ready. Well, in order to be shovel ready, sometimes you got to put a little bit of work and research into it first for the justification. So to directly answer your question, I don't know of any sort of, sidewalk or crosswalk improvements or traffic signals on LOVR that are coming in the near future.
And no walking path along LOVR.
Not that I'm currently aware of, no.
Well,
Mark.
I guess I don't really
Mark,
understand.
That's a great question for Deborah. Deborah and her transportation committee is really looking into all of that, safe routes from school, safe routes to Palisades, safe routes. So maybe you can come to our next transportation meeting and we can discuss the timelines and what we're working on through LOCAC, and we're working with the county and we're working with Jake. I think that would be a great place to get some questions answered and to be involved in it.
Yeah, action is what I'm interested in.
And if you want action, work with Deborah.
Okay.
And work with our transportation committee.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the CSD report. Thank you, Blake. Do we have someone from CSD tonight?
I believe Ron Munz is here.
Oh, Troy, here you are,
Troy.
Troy. Thank you. Thanks for raising your hand. We have 45 people tonight, so I need hands raised.
Give me a second. Everything good?
Mhm.
Hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So Los Osos CSD update for LOCAC. We have continued to work on our water infrastructure projects. The main ones are the 16th Street South Tank Rehabilitation Project. So this entails a complete paint job of inside and outside the tank. We apologize in advance for the noise and other impacts to the neighborhood. The two tanks on 16th Street provide critical fire flow capacity and pressure to the CSD service area. We have continued work on the program Seawell. The project's final phase will equipping and site improvements go out to bid at the end of next week. This phase will cost close to about $1 million, bringing the total of the project around $3 million. The Basin Management Committee projects being led by CSD. We're on the lead agency on two projects. First is the Transient Groundwater Model Project, which provides significantly better data on how water flows through the groundwater basin. This project will take about 2 years to complete. Second, the Skyline Drive Lower Aquifer Groundwater Monitoring Wells. The addition of 2 wells to better monitor seawater intrusion in zones D and E will assist the BMC in providing more accurate information on the seawater intrusion front. Our other initiatives include a comprehensive study on how the CSD provides emergency services to the community. The study will look at many factors on how services are provided, look at what we do well and what we can do better, and look at the long-range planning aspects of providing emergency services in the future. This information, along with the recently completed fire station building assessment study, will be rolled up into an emergency services strategic plan, which will help guide future decisions making on how to best provide the essential service. And that concludes our report.
Thank you very much, Troy. Do we have any questions from council? Okay, I'm going to mute Molly. All right, any questions from the public? No? All right, Troy, thank you so much. I appreciate your help. The next report we have is Chamber of Commerce report, Jim Stanfield.
Yeah, we have just kind of been operating for about 15 days into our Festival of Flavor. They do this every year. We issue a passport. It takes you to 10 different restaurants in the area and give you some kind of sample or whatever of their work. That's good until the middle of August. There are some passports still available. They can be picked up at the Maywood Bed and Breakfast down on 2nd Street. And they're $40 in venues. Second thing is we're beginning our planning for Oktoberfest, big event that hits this place in October. The planning is pretty intense and we've begun already. Looking for sponsors. Who wants to contribute money, process would be appreciated.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Jim on Chamber report? Public, community? Nope. Okay, Jim, you're off the hook. Thank you so much. We're now up to public comments for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda? Raise your hand. Okay, Dave and Bev, asked to unmute.
Hi, it's Dave. I'd just like to say that it's great to see a lot of people turn out for LOCAC. Many a month goes by when there's only 2 or 3 of us here. And it all goes to show that when people are informed of events that are happening or things that are going to be discussed at LOCAC, they will show up. So I hope that we have good publicity in the future for what's on the agenda. And for those of you who are here for the first time, tell your friends and neighbors that this happens the last Thursday of each month, I guess, if the board
Fourth
decides.
Thursday. Fourth Thursday.
Fourth Thursday. I think Patrick suggested it be switched to the 5th or to the last, but whatever. Anyway, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Becky. I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay. And I'll lower my hand. Good evening, everyone. It is good to see a lot of people here. I would like to, it wasn't really on the agenda, but there was some discussion about guest houses in general and it not being illegal, but I'm not sure people are aware of the letter from the Coastal Commission to the County Planning Department and to all of the supervisors. It was from April 19th, 2022, that sternly tells them to stop accepting permits. And I wanted to read a small portion of it so that you'll know. And I see a number of fellow environmental educators on here listening tonight. We know the importance of the Coastal Act and the Coastal Commission, and this is what they say. It says, in fact, the commission has repeatedly determined that the local coastal plan consistency cannot be found for any new water using development in Los Osos at the current time. irrespective of any will serve letter, finding most recently that the local coastal plan includes a series of provisions which require adequate water and wastewater services for new development. Yet the community still does not have an adequate water supply at this time, including as evidenced by the Los Osos Basin Plan. And this was a 2020 report, but the 2022 report is the same basically, until and unless there is conclusive evidence that adequate water services exist. Public services remain a constraint to new development in Los Osos under the LCP. That's local coastal plan. We do not believe it is good planning or good public policy for the county to continue to take in and to process coastal development permits, applications for projects that lead to an increase in water use on a site and or that require county wastewater services that cannot be provided, especially when the outcome is an appeal to the commission. So in order to provide as much clarity as possible, in the meantime, please note, we consider guest houses, hotel motel expansions, and large use structural intensifications associated with existing development to constitute such new water using development. So I hope that's some clarification from our very important coastal commission. Our entire town is in the coastal zone. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. Any other public comments from the community? Ms. Johnson, ask you to unmute. Okay, we don't hear you. I asked you to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, there's a couple of us here from the public that had concerns about Mr. McGibney's noise
Okay,
complaints.
that will be discussed on the agenda. So this is anything that's not on the agenda. So save your comment. We want to hear them.
Oh, it is on the agenda. Okay, we were
But
just
it is on the agenda.
just checking. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, I do not
Margaret.
see any other
Margaret's
hands.
hands up.
Okay, can people use the real hands, please?
Fiona has her hand up.
Fiona.
So it's on the agenda for tonight?
Yes. Yeah, it's on the agenda under agenda items number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Hang in there. We'll
Margaret,
get
asking
yeah.
you to unmute. If you guys can use the hand one, that works so much better, please.
Yeah, where is
versus
that?
waving, because
At
there's
the very
45
bottom, it says
people.
reactions and it says raise hand. And then what happens is if you're a host, it moves you right up to the queue so you can see the hand.
So I can
Oh,
see them.
yeah.
I can't see 45 people on my little screen.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry, that's my,
No, it's learning.
no. So Becky, what you were saying sounds.
you get 3 minutes, and it's 4. You have to talk about something that's not on the agenda,
Okay.
and you only have 3 minutes.
All right, so it sounds like what you read, Becky, is opposite of what the gal from planning, building and planning said.
Yep.
We can't respond to you. This is only public comment. We cannot respond.
Okay. Well, it seemed like there was a, I don't know, discrepancy about that, about what that gal said people can do and what they can't do, because if you're allowed to build and have a guest house, I mean, you're going to have to use some water, right? And she said a guest house was allowed. So I don't know. It sounds very confusing to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Claire, asking you to unmute.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to also raise a comment that there is a county planning and building department letter in response to the Coastal Commission's letter. Both can be found on the county planning and building website, where the county lays out responding to Coastal Commission's letter from April of last year, and also lays out how we are still acting within the bounds of the LCP and the Coastal Commission's retained the patrol authority in the coastal zone.
Thank you, Claire. Lindy Owen, asking you to unmute.
Yeah, I wanted to request, maybe Claire can clarify this. Several weeks ago, there was a discussion. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, about Cambria and Los Osos both being in a situation of no water, no available sustainable supply of water, and that they would be eliminating new projects. What I understood from the meeting that I listened to was that Cambria was put in that status, but Los Osos was removed. There was no discussion about Los Osos being in the same situation. Can you clarify what that
This is
action
just
was?
public comment.
Okay.
We don't answer at this time.
Well, Claire just did answer, so I thought I would throw it out. But
Let-
anyway, for some reason, Los Osos is targeted for growth, even though we are in the same situation as Cambria. And I think that's really notable to show that we are battling county versus sustainable supply. And I just, I'm throwing it out. I'm tired of listening to little projects being approved here and there that all amount to additional strain on our existing supply. So until we get that fixed, we're not in a place to issue more permits of any kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to committee reports. The treasurer's report, Jim. We have a new budget for 2023.
And people have looked it over, I hope,
I do. I put the link on our agenda.
are ready to adopt it. Any discussion about the budget? Question?
Any
Sure.
council members with questions on the budget? Patrick?
I'd like to get something in the budget to be able to hire a secretary to transcribe the recordings into minutes so we can have minutes of these public meetings. Thank you.
Have any idea what that cost would be, Patrick?
I'm sure we have community members that would love to do that at a minimal cost, just as a community service and, you know, a little something to pay for their time, but no, I have no idea what that would
So it
be.
doesn't give me a number.
I'll try to get you a number.
That's what we need, and that could be an amendment to the budget.
Yeah.
Certainly worth pursuing. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to be, because we need to get our grant going, I would really like to be able to have a motion to approve the current, but
I'll
current.
make a motion that we approve the budget as presented.
I'll
Do I
second
get-
that.
Second that, do,
second.
okay. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. I will work with Jim tomorrow on the grant funding and get the grant going. And the grant amount is $925 that we're asking for.
And I'll go out on a limb and say we will certainly fulfill that entire request.
Like,
There you go.
Thank
So
you.
maybe we should double it then.
We did that last year. We did that last year. Okay, so after treasurer's report, which is there, let's go to committee report.
I can just quickly say that our balance, American Riviera Bank, is $1,560 and some change
Okay,
as of June 30th.
okay, good. Go ahead and send me that amount, Jim, for
I'm
tomorrow,
sorry?
so that, send me that
Sure.
final June amount so that I can put that on the agenda, so I have, you know, apples to apples, okay?
Right, good. Will
Thank
do.
you. All right, land use, Larry.
We have one project that's on the agenda for tonight. At our next meeting, though, we're going to have two projects, one that's been discussed, we just needed some clarification on. And then a very interesting, very interesting project. And I ask you all to tune in and come to our meeting on August 7th and find out what this project is.
Oh, boy, you're gonna tease us.
Well, just look at the agenda and the attachments prior to the meeting and the excitement will go away like that. Let's go to trees and landscaping. Andrea and John.
Thank you, Trish. Because I'm looking at the number of participants we have, I'm going to be pretty brief. The memo and the site plan is attached to the website, but the Tree and Landscape Committee is again proposing another planting plan, again, close to Los Osos Community Park, just briefly planting low shrubs and ground cover in the planter between the skate park and Los Osos Valley Road, and then planting trees along the west side of Palisades from Los Osos Valley Road to the library. We've met a couple of different times about the project. We've met with county staff, and we've also presented this to the Transportation Committee last week, where we got a unanimous round of applause and approval. So the process at this point for this project is we presented it at the Transportation Committee, we presented it at Tree and Landscape, everybody liked it. We're presenting it to you tonight. And what we're asking for after, of course, we answer questions, is that you approve the project, the planting project. Then we will submit the project to County Public Works, and County Public Works will hopefully approve the project with their deputy director. So that's the process. Again, pretty brief tonight. John, do you have any comments? Otherwise, we'll go for questions.
Well, there is one little wrinkle, and that is the county doesn't want to go and maintain these trees. And we've said, well, Tree and Landscape will do that if you need, assurance that they will be maintained and watered. And we would like LOCAC to also agree that even when John is not around anymore, that LOCAC will ensure that these trees are cared for. And it's just sort of a statement of honor that we will take care of these trees in time. So I think that will take care of approval from the county. There is one piece of news. John Waddell from the Public Works Department will be has said he can attend our next Tree and Landscape meeting to view this project and other potential projects in the near future.
And Trish, let me add one other item real quickly. We do have a second phase of this project, and if you've walked the area from Palisades or from Los Osos Valley Road to the library on Palisades, there is a trail currently along the west side. And what we want to do in phase 2 of this project is we would like just to do some minimal cleanup of that trail, not a path, not a sidewalk, but a trail. So that's phase 2 of the project, and it's included in the memorandum. That's it.
That was a great proposal. I was very impressed, and I will open it up to questions. And the first one is Jim.
Now, just real quickly, Andrea, the trees will be on the other side of the fence.
The trees will be on the east side. They'll be in the public right of way on the east side of the fence.
Would that interrupt the walkway?
No, 10 to 11, 12 feet in that area. So we're okay.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is Molly.
Wait, are you wanting approval today, or is that just something that will happen?
Oh, no, we want approval today.
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Okay. Well,
That's
is there
why
like
we have
wording?
a great proposal.
Sorry, I didn't see the wording in the proposal, so I was expecting that. So, okay, sorry.
Okay. Molly, what questions do you have?
So is this a general thing that the county, if people are going to plant trees out here, that the county doesn't want to take responsibility for watering them? Or
If
is
they're in the
this,
county, if they're in the county right of way, yes.
so that's just their basic stance is they won't water them if they're in the right of way? As opposed, you mean as opposed to on county land?
It's a little bit, it's a little bit complicated. At the park, they have a watering system and they extended the watering system to the new plantings that we did there at the corner. The Public Works doesn't have a watering system. And so our theory is that maybe within 3 years, these trees will be self-sustaining. And so, and secondly, that there may be a watering opportunity from the library in a drip system that comes down that corridor. So this shouldn't be a deal breaker. But yeah, the county is not wanting to extend themselves on tree maintenance and tree watering. That's just a fact of life.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Lynn, any other council members? All right, question from Lindy. First, I have
Can't
to
hear
ask
you,
you to
Lindy.
unmute Lindy.
Yeah, one other interesting chance that we have to make these trees be successful is that the county is beginning to do purple pipe to the community park and to the library.
Right.
And so that's what we're hoping is that they would give us the extension of the watering, because that's a huge step in keeping the trees healthy and safe. So that would be a really great opportunity if the county will go ahead and bring in when they bring it in, the purple pipe is, I think, coming in the next year. They'll be transferring it over. So that's pretty essential to the project, I think. So.
Thank you, Lindy. If there's no further questions, can I get a motion?
Margaret.
Do I get a second?
Somebody's gonna have to show me how to raise that hand. Anyway, my understanding is that when we met with someone from Public Works, Mike Tabaris, they will or not approve the planting of the trees, but the watering, that's Public Works, is the Parks and Rec. So it's like a different office that does the watering, because Public Works doesn't do it.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion on the project?
I make a motion that we approve this planting request from Trees and Landscape in their phase 1, and excited to see that.
Okay, I was okay. Jim is seconding.
Second, and applaud the committee for moving
Yes, for
forward.
great work. Can I have hands up for all in favor? Any opposed? 0 opposed. It passes unanimously. Great job, Andrea and John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to outreach. Kristen.
Hi, sorry, I'm trying to make a note of that because I've been doing that the whole meeting. Hi, I don't have much to report. We are on hiatus until September, in which case I think my personal pet thing will be to do the Red Barn orientation again, where everybody gets to come together and see one another in that sort of setting. And I've heard of some other projects that might be coming down the pipes that should be exciting. So thank you.
You're welcome. Water report committee, Deborah.
Yeah, so there's not a water report tonight. The Basin Management Committee meeting was canceled for June, so I don't have a report for you on water.
Okay. Let's just jump right into active transportation then.
Okay. Yeah, Becky had her hand up.
Could I ask a water, or can I make a little water statement?
No, because there was no water report.
Okay. Thank you.
But Becky, if you want to give me statements for my report, I'm happy to receive statements. If you want something to be put in the record of the minutes, I'm happy to do that. You just need to reach out to me. So active transportation, we had a meeting and basically we reviewed the corridor study that was coming up, which you heard about tonight. We also revealed that our safety assessment that was done by SafeTrack, a grant that we got from UC Berkeley, should be arriving in August, which is perfect timing because that information will be given to the county and added to what they already have for Los Osos Valley Road. We had our presentation from Andrea about the trees going in on Palisades, which we were very happy to hear about. And then we basically did some follow-up on some comments from people in the community about safe routes to school, especially on Los Osos Valley Road at the intersection of Pine and Alexander. There's a lot of issue there, and issues with cyclists. So that's my report from active transportation.
Thank you very much. All right, consent agenda items, we did not have any. Land use, we did have one, and I just want to state on the Owens project that we do have a new description. And we had a new link on that, and I hope everybody reviewed the current information here. And what I want to start with this is I want to apologize to the Owens family that are here tonight. That a member of LOCAC called you prior to the land use meeting and gave you very wrong information. And I very much apologize that that happened. And I hope we can move forward with your project. I actually did the exact same thing that you are doing right now. I removed a kitchen from a bedroom downstairs that had been converted into like a little mini apartment, and I returned it into a residential bedroom with the ensuite. So Larry, do you want to go over this project and then we can turn it over to Doug and Nancy to have them also discuss it?
Yeah, well, I think you described it pretty well. I'll let Doug and Nancy also, I think they have their representative here.
And who is that, so I can unmute them? Is
it Dana Hunter?
Dana?
Yeah.
Could you raise your hand if you're here?
There she is.
Oh, there you are. Thank you so much for raising your hand. It helps so much. Okay.
There we go. And let them explain where they stand now.
Dana or Nancy and Doug, who would like to? Nancy and Doug, you're unmuted. So.
Ooh, unfortunately, your mic's not working.
Oh, I don't think your mic's working, Doug and Nancy. Dana, are you available to talk about the project? If not, I can kind of go over what's written down.
Yeah, hi, my name is Dana Hunter with Hunter Smith Architecture in San Luis Obispo. I'm here with the owners, Doug and Nancy, who happily purchased their home of August of 2022. After purchasing the property, Doug and Nancy immediately began the thoughts of upgrading the home to fit their needs and allow them to age in place. So this included providing a functional kitchen and primary suites for them to age in. So what we are proposing today is an addition and remodel and partial demolition to an existing single-family residence consisting of a lower floor master bedroom suite with wet bar to remedy the as-built basement unit, which has an active code case. The upper floor extensions to the master bedroom kitchen and updates to the driveway and site retaining elements. So yeah, we're learning to go through the process and appreciate everyone's guidance. And yeah, we're open to any questions or concerns the committee or staff may have. So thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any questions from LOCAC? It seemed like they're just turning what was a mini apartment back into a residential master suite type unit, just like I did. Be prepared to get some walls torn out so they can check plumbing and electric. I had to do that. So in any questions? It seems very straightforward. Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project.
Do I have a second? Jim is a second. All in favor, raise your hand.
And Andrea is an aye.
Thank you, Andrea. Any opposed? Patrick, I didn't see hand up, down.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so we have Patrick as an abstain and the rest is a unanimous. Yes. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The rest, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Let me check. Okay, everything here on the screen is good. So our next one is noise concerns in Baywood. And the question is, does LOCAC have a role? I did talk to code enforcement supervisor and her name is Cynthia Alms. She's really incredible, nice woman to work with. Noise disturbance does fall under code enforcement. So please use the outline that we provided last month. Restroom facility concerns fall under environmental health and should be part of any permit. The circumstances of patrons relieving themselves publicly on the dunes or shrubbery is the concern for the sheriff's department. So how I would like to start this is if anyone has an issue with the noise nearby them, wherever it is in Los Osos or Baywood, go talk to the owner of that business first. I mean, I think that is the first thing that any of us as neighbors working together should do. If you don't get resolution from that, then it's code enforcement. So I think we really need to find the balance between noise and code enforcement, but really just talk to your neighbors if that is an issue. Do I get any council comments first?
Yeah, oops.
Yeah,
Trish?
you're here, Larry. No.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to say for the public to feel comfortable and not that if they have issues going on in our community, that's why we have that thing in the beginning of our meeting, you know, a time for public comment. You know, so that yes, we have code enforcement, but some people either are intimidated or are uncomfortable doing that. And if they feel more comfortable coming to a LOCAC meeting and taking their time for public comment, we should accommodate that for whatever the topic might be. The trailer park on Los Osos Valley Road that was claiming, the speed limit is too fast. They came and, well, they talked at transportation.
Yep.
But I would like to keep LOCAC accommodating to the community, the needs, and let them say what they want. We don't have to make motions on everything, and like we're the community, the link of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Larry. Any other comments from council?
Patrick has his hand up.
Okay.
Yes, well, so we have a county person here still. Is Cynthia here, or maybe?
Claire is here. Claire is here.
So I'd like to just comment on, this came on because I did have people in the district that asked me to put this on the agenda because of excessive noise. They did talk to a specific owner of the property. it didn't evidently resolve it for them. So if they did it here at public comment on things not on the agenda, there would be no conversation. And that's what they would like to have. So that is why we have why it's on the agenda for today. As you know, if there's a noise ordinance, which we do have, and you feel that it is being not controlled or not enforced properly, if you get a hold of code enforcement and you complain about maybe a noise, sometimes it takes a day or two for them to respond. And then they come in the middle of the day and there's no noise because there's nothing going on. So how does it get enforced? By going through code enforcement? That is the question, and that's what people have been asking. You know, if I call code enforcement, they come, they say, well, there's nothing there's nothing going on. Talk to the owner. We have. So that's why.
Well, the good thing about contacting code enforcement is they will now have a record, and they will have a record every time. So it's very important that if you have an issue that's not being resolved by the business owner, then you call code enforcement so they have a record. Molly, you're up.
Okay, so just sort of a general thing, and I'm not speaking on behalf of planning or anything, but I believe that with every music venue within the county, they have to get a conditional use permit, just background information for people. So they get a conditional use permit, say, to have live music. And I believe in those use permits, it's spelled out what their hours that they can have, their hours, the amount of days per week, all that kind of stuff about what they can do with live music and the decibels and all that. So if I'm correct in that, the code enforcement people would probably be going back and looking at conditional use permits and what are they allowed to have at property X, Y, or Z, that would help them to then go to the business owner and try and sort things out if the public can't do it. But I see this as something that, as we get more music venues, it's probably going to become possibly more of an issue down the road. So just good to know that, there are things in place that are supposed to prevent this kind of thing from noise being too loud for neighbors. But I guess sometimes things change for probably a variety of reasons.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Any other council members have comments?
I have a letter that was sent to me, but it's public comment, so I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't think we have any other council, so you're on.
Okay, this was sent to me by Paul Irving. He explains it, so I'll do it to you. Dear LOCAC board, my name is Paul Irving. I've lived in Los Osos for over 30 years, have raised my family here, have run businesses here, and have contributed to our local culture through live music and community events. Music is an essential aspect of all human civilizations, and it has the power to change and shape communities. Throughout my decades in Los Osos, I've witnessed a remarkable local transformation, from bitter division over the sewer and other issues to peace and harmony as we gather around live music regularly. As a musician and event owner, I've known just how much music can bring people together. It's the common thread running through our social fabric, and it cuts right through the political, religious, and other differences, allowing us to joyfully connect with one another, each other. Los Osos loves its music, and we have a reputation throughout the county as a tight-knit community as a result. I know all the venue owners and music promoters locally, and I can say with confidence that they are all very much concerned with balancing the needs of the residents with the need for providing a crucial environment for social connection. If there are any individuals feeling personally inconvenienced by our local live music, I respectfully ask them to take a step back and appreciate how much live music in our community has created common ground, built bridges across our differences. Thanks to all for patience, tolerance, and big picture thinking as we truly have a community worthy of celebration.
Great, that's perfect. Do we have any business owners here tonight that would like to speak? If so, just raise your hand. Fiona. I'm going to
I'm
ask
Fiona, but I'm here with Jennifer Dorn, the owner of Niffy's Merrymaker.
Okay.
No, this issue has literally, I've owned the business for a year now, and I've only wanted to, embrace this community because I love it. And I'm just trying to do the right thing by everybody. But this little issue has come up pretty new. I've had one complaint over the whole year, and it was one woman who refused to give her name or contact information. So this came up with Nextdoor. I'm new to Nextdoor, but I've been following it and I've been doing my best.
I love your music.
Thank you. I do too. But
All
I'm
right.
open to anybody that wants to come talk to me personally. And this is not my platform normally, but
Now that's the best way, neighbor to neighbor, community member to community member. That's really what we're trying to achieve here in Los Osos. Any other business owners that are here that would like to talk?
Is Troy?
Troy, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hello. So this is not representing CSD, my comments. So this is my own personal comments on the issue. And I appreciate the community. We all live here and we want to, respect everybody and our neighbors. There's a few things I wanted to educate on a little bit from ABC and music conditions and those types of things so that the community can understand it's just not a noise ordinance as well. The establishments that have been listed, I've seen in emails and stuff, is also controlled by ABC regulations. So you're more than welcome to look at licenses for each establishments and conditions applied to each establishment on ABC. I think it's abc.ca.gov. You can look up each establishment's license and conditions. You'll see on Beerwood that we have a condition of no amplified music on our patio. You'll see that we have acoustic music on our patio. We also have an event license permit. It's called event license number 77. That allows us 4 events a year in our adjacent area, which we use our parking lot, which the community's probably seen. We've had 2 calendar events this year, our anniversary and the Queerwood event. We plan on having 2 more at some time yet to be determined. And we will, obviously welcome communities, input on those things. But those events require event authorizations. So we have ABC and the sheriff's office sign off on those events. And we go through that process. We pay extra money for those permits and of each event as well. So ABC controls music and conditions as well. High Street also has conditions of no amplified music or live music on their patio as well from the ABC perspective. The rest of the conditions around the Ale House or the Sea Pines, they do not have any music conditions. So within their ABC lines, they're allowed to have live music. Merrymaker does not have conditions on inside the Merrymaker. I'm not sure on ABC conditions or anywhere else outside of that. Those are just licenses that you can look up online. You can also clarify with ABC for any issues or concerns. I'm more than happy to take concerns from the community for Beerwood, and we try and make a nice environment as well. But just wanted to let the community know that we're limited to 4 events a year, and that's all we do and have been doing.
Do you see what ABC is?
Alcohol beverage control.
Thank you.
So typically it's state regulations. So it's not county, it's state regulations. You'll also see us put up fencing around our events. So ABC requires public fencing 6 feet high. So you see a bamboo fence that goes along, and it also requires a continuous line. So you see from our patio to the parking lot, that fencing provides a continuous line. There's no continuous line. Usually ABC puts a condition that has to be table service. And I'm at my 3 minutes. I have put my time on. But
Great
yeah, those things can be doing from the state. Usually they put conditions on ABC areas that have areas within 100 feet of our residents. Thank you.
Let's go back to Fiona. There are a few more words.
So just to clarify, I forgot to mention that my ABC license does not have any regulations on inside music for amplified or jukebox or anything. And when I have my license, it says live music available anytime. I can go up until 10 o'clock at night, which is the community segment of our the timeline. But for the outside, same thing. There's nothing that says I cannot have music outside. And there's nothing about amplified music either. I just visited the ABC license and anticipating this meeting. And they said, you signed up for live music. So the outside, I've been super respectful of the community. I thought I only do Sunday and Mondays. Sunday is 3 to 5, Monday is 5 to 7. And I'm trying to be as respectful as I possibly can to the community. And I think that's a reasonable timeline. And the music outside is very tame as far as I think, but I am willing to listen to the neighbors for sure. I don't want to
Thank you
upset
so
them.
much. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Any other business owners that would like to talk? Okay, public, we have Lindy, and I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Thank you. I sometimes I am really annoyed by some of the music that comes from even Sea Pines, and I'm 2 miles away. And I hear it on and off, and I think it's an issue of volume. I've been to Live Oak. I had to leave a concert. It was so loud, it was hurting my ears. And if we could just begin to tone down the volume, I don't think that it would be as annoying and as hard on people that live close by. So the volume issue is part of what the problem is if it's so loud that it's reverberating your windows when you're nearby, that's too loud. And I had a bigger issue to discuss about our code enforcement activities out here in Los Osos. I know the Owens just had their presentation about a code enforcement that I believe was 3 years. There was a code enforcement on an illegal apartment or dwelling or rental there. And code enforcement did nothing. Nothing.
You know,
there's another project.
We have a new supervisor. She really wants to work with us. We did that whole how-to checklist. I really recommend that you give it a chance again. And if you have an issue, use the code enforcement checklist that's on the website. They will, I mean, it tells every step of what they do, what everybody does in code enforcement. Is a really good checklist. I would really recommend you take a good look at that and utilize that. And I think you're going to see a major difference from before. Because I don't want to talk about the past. Let's just talk about how we can move forward.
No, there's current code enforcements that are not being addressed.
Okay, then use that checklist.
Thank
Lindy.
you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll mute you then. Becky. Class.
Oh, hello. Oh, let me turn my video on real quick. Hello, I'm here as a music lover and the mother of a son that's in 2 bands, and I love music, and I'm glad that we have lots of music around town. I'm not sure how any of this came to be thought of as anyone against music. I did not see one post on Nextdoor or anywhere that said people wanted music shut down. I don't know. I mean, maybe someone here knows someone that wants it shut down, but no one has said they wanted music shut down. I was at a person's house next door almost to the Merrymaker, and there was some good music on, but it was a bit loud. And I was just getting home from work, and I thought, I'm glad I don't have to hear that in my house. And I realized that is a business district, but I think it was just the volume, and it wasn't the day I was there, but the person's windows were rattling from noise when there was a punk band there. So that's the only issue. One thing about code enforcement, people are leery about going forward. I know Lindy had her tires spiked by someone that she turned in. So and that was not that long in the past.
But you can do it without leaving your name also.
Okay, but I'm just saying there is when the person from Merrymaker said the person didn't leave their name, that's why there's some reticence there. It's not because the person's awful or whatever, but we're just talking volume. We love music. And again, no one's trying to shut it down. And I think it's great we're having this discussion. This is where it should happen. We have a brand new venue that's going to be starting up at Celia's. all of this should be worked out. And thank you, Troy Gatchell, for bringing all of that information to us. That's so important for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Ms. Johnson. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
I had a couple comments. I'm just curious if the LOCAC continues to entertain comments or complaints, what's the commitment to the communication, to these business owners that, when you're collecting complaints? And then just on the noise, I also live very nearby, and I don't have the same issues with windows. I mean, I literally sleep by the back door, and I sleep very well. The noise just feels so much more dispersed. I'm not discounting, Mrs. McFarland's friend, but that group at Niffy's Merrymakers is very accommodating and friendly. And the people that I see every day and every Monday, they literally are so excited and looking in the backyard, like what's happening. And there's so much more activity here than there has ever been. And it's just been nothing but a benefit, like, to this community. So it's unfortunate that some people are having difficulties with it, but falling within the guidelines, there's just nothing egregious about the music that I hear coming out of there.
Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate that. Let's go to Claire. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I just have a follow-up question to Troy's comment. Are you still on, Troy? I think I saw him.
Yeah, Troy is here. I'm going to ask Troy to unmute. There you go, Troy.
Thank you. Troy, if you could repeat that event license number you had, and I'm also curious who issues that.
It's event license number 77 by ABC.
Oh,
So it's an ABC license. It allows you 4 events per year. So we have to do an event authorization at each event. And so it's signed off by the sheriff's office and ABC. So it's 4 days per calendar year. So it allows you to extend your ABC lines and have an event in an adjacent area. So we use it in our parking lot. There's stipulations around, fencing and stuff like that. So we put like a 6-foot fence up across the parking lot. So that's governed by ABC.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just wanting to clarify who that's issued by. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Let's go to Margaret, and then we'll go to Kendi.
And Trish,
Margaret.
Emily can't make her hand raise, but she wants to speak as well.
Oh, she's been up there for a while. Let's find her. Anyone can find her?
She's on the second page, probably.
Oh, so let me look at second page.
Yeah, I see her.
Okay, you're not co-chair. Let me see if I can find her.
She's unmuted. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
I
Whoever
didn't do
did
it.
that
Good
for
job,
me,
Deborah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kristen. Okay, so I'm calling from 3 hours ahead of you guys, and I just want to say this was mentioned a while ago. I think maybe it was Trish or maybe it was Deborah. I can't remember now the source of the comment about approaching your neighbor or your business first before going through official channels, etc. And I just want to bring up, and later there was discussion of, people maybe needing another venue to be able to do that and encourage public comment, etc. So I experienced something that was absolutely horrific in Los Osos in 2018. And Supervisor Bruce Gibson stepped in, and the county sheriff and others beyond code enforcement, with both a semi-neighbor and business owner, not to be named. I was stalked down my street. I had pictures taken of my home. My husband had to approach executives at Nextdoor to have these posts removed of not only me and my personally identifying dogs, but another friend who also was with me, photographs taken of me, for just a real simple code enforcement issue. It's really hard in our county to come forward with these things. For a candidate that was running at that time for sheriff, I was absolutely advised to put a shotgun under my bed because of the approach on my personal property and the photos that were taken. It was a scary time, folks, and it's not always that easy. And that simple explanation that was given for just talk to a business owner or, you know, in my case, business owner, neighbor, it's not always that easy. And we don't right now, I mean, code enforcement did do the appropriate things, I think, in this case, but it took a long time. And I was left literally harassed by an online community in Los Osos. So I just, you know, wanted to put that out there. It's not that easy. And it's frightening. I also want to say where I am right now doing hospice care for a family member. It's amazing. This little village that I'm in, you know, in the middle of very conservative state, has a sign coming into town. It's nice to be nice. It's nice to be nice. Try it. And it's a very liberal little community that works on its water issues, its neighborhood issue, lights out issues, bar issues, noise issues, etc. And it's amazing. I just wonder if it has to do with age or, you know, code on books or whatever. The more I study it, I'm just floored by how a small community of differing political backgrounds can get to consensus on how to put, like,
Okay,
not
Emily,
only
you've had your 3 minutes. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's nice, Trish. I'm just finishing up right now. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Margaret. I'll ask you to unmute.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Well, I just want to commend you, Fiona, for your improvement of the Merrymaker property. The backyard of that area is just really beautiful the way you did it, and it's so spread out. And I don't know if this is true, but I heard that you are not doing the music anymore outside and you're only doing it inside, which I think is really unfortunate because, you know, COVID's going up is what I heard. And that's a very small, tight area inside. So it's nicer to do it outside. And the hours that you do it, I mean, nobody's sleeping then. You know, it's not a nighttime venue. And I think the bottom line with all of this is, you know, measure the decibels. And if they're too loud, turn it down. And if it's within the range, then it's legal. And if you don't like it, then go someplace else during the music venue times, you know? Why does Sea Pines get, you know, I live in Cuesta by the Sea. I can hear that music sometimes from way over there. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but you know, that's pretty far away that I can hear that music. And there's a whole community there of houses. So I don't know. I just don't really get it.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Let's go to Kendi, and then we can, I think, move on. Kendi?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Well, I'm in my pajamas, otherwise I'd let y'all see me.
No worries.
So I've lived here 25 years. I taught this at Cal Poly. I'm retired. I teach this at Cuesta. I'm the chair for the hospitality program there. And I want to commend Jennifer, Dorn, and Fiona, the things that they have done. You look back 25 years ago when I probably was having a drink in there, and it is a whole different book. It's a whole different book. And Margaret, hats off to you. There are guidelines. This last Sunday, I was standing next to the band in the app. It was 75 decibels. I went right outside the wooden gate. It was, and across the street, right by where Marcy is, and it was 35 decibels. Okay, there are guidelines for this. It's like a no-brainer. Exactly. And I'm so sorry to the neighbors, but like Margaret said, measure it. And then you have a right. She has a right to play 2 hours of music. You know, it's the law. She has that right. And if it's too loud, I mean, the neighbor that's concerned, get the app and go stand there and spend your time doing that then. But she has the right to do that. And I don't mean to be aggressive, but I'm kind of, like Margaret said, I'm blown away at, you know, work with it. Go for a hike or something during those 2 hours, or God forbid, headphones. She has a right to play the music. And I really want to fight for them because I'm just so proud of what they've done and how she gives back and her big heart and the family business. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. All right, I think our last one is Miss Johnson.
Thank you. I know I already spoke, but I did want to tell people, so we moved here in 2020, and what was happening at the Merrymaker before it was reopened was nothing short of disgusting. There was people sleeping in the back, you know, doorways in the backyard. There was people sleeping across the street from my house. There was people defecating in the bushes. So if we're looking at, you know, the worst of 2 evils for some of these people, I would every time choose some music and having the public around instead of, you know, the alternative, because the police were, you know, and to Emily's point, like maybe the police aren't always as attentive or quick as you would want them to be, but I would always choose this. It was getting really bad and really uncomfortable to be in your own home. So this is much better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we need to go to our business items. Lindy, I know you have already talked on this issue, so our absolute last one on this topic is going to be Dave and Bev. And I've asked you to unmute.
Hi, it's Dave Bowles again. My comment is just that I read the article in the Tribune about the purchase of Celia's to be a concert venue. And at the end of that article by John Lint, it mentions that the current lineup of live music in town is a Merrymaker with 21 musical events in August, Sea Pines with live music every Saturday afternoon, Beerwood occasional events, Sweet Spring Saloon occasional music offerings, and Old Ale House 9 concerts in July. And I think that that 21 musical events in a month is a lot if you're a neighbor. That's my comment. Thanks.
It's not true. We don't know where the Tribune came up with that number. It's not true.
Okay.
Well, John Lint wrote the article, so maybe he can.
Hey, you guys, let's get it under control.
Right.
The Kristen has the floor.
Yeah, to speak to that actually, and as someone who has written up in the Tribune repeatedly, and they are not the best at reporting, Celia's is not a music venue. Celia's is going to be Celia's. They may play some music outside. Unfortunately, the reporters that they hire do not always have the most experience in fact checking and running reports and doing things like that. So please do not take what you read in the Trib as the absolute official truth or the truth of whatever. And on that statement, I wanted to speak to Emily's thing about community, because this is a really hot point. The reason that the owners are here is that I personally took it upon myself to call every person that had been every owner or manager of an establishment that had been mentioned in the letter that Patrick circulated. The reason that I did that is because if you want to have good relationships, you want to make sure that you have backing with the people that you speak to, so that it's not just like, I decided I want this on here, I'm going to force you to talk about it, and it's going to be the highest level thing that we can do. Consensus is how you build community. It's the thing that I've built my career on. It's the thing I built all of my hobbies on. And so responsible communication, care with your words, and not implicating businesses or other humans in something without facts and without considering what that is, and not without getting out the community and the committee that is supposed to be doing this work and making sure they're bought into it, is how you fix these kind of things with a small town atmosphere. If we want to be a safe place for people to talk to us, we have to act like we're safe places, and we're going to have to use our words correctly. We're going to have to do all of that. And that's the most important thing about all this. And I really want to thank those of you who came, because I did the outreach, because that is something that was really important to me. And I'll take the blame if you're angry about it, but.
And Kristen, just to be
And
clear.
at that point, I will need
And
to.
wait a minute. I would like to just clarify, please. This was not something I wanted to have on the agenda. This was something I was asked by my constituents to put on the agenda. We are talking about it. This needs to be talked about it. We have talked about it. And I think everybody appreciates it being here. Thank you.
You're welcome, Patrick. Okay.
You know, I'd like to respond because I did write that article. And, you know, I checked my facts. And where I got the information as to the number of events was on each of those entities' websites. That they are going to have live music. Yeah, they're going to have a restaurant. And I'm not sure if the information regarding the number of events was incorrect. It was incorrect on the websites that I checked.
Ooh, and John, I really thought it was John Lynch, not you. So when I was speaking to that, I'm sorry, you have experience.
No sweat.
But I was John Lynch I was speaking to.
No worries. Okay, on that point, I think we have discussed this as LOCAC. And I think we are good. So we go right back to talk to your neighbors, talk to your businesses if you feel comfortable doing that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, code enforcement, how to access that is on our website. Just go to that and just try to find a balance. I think that's all we're trying to do, is try to find a balance. All right. That is it for our regular agenda items. The council is going to go into their business items. You're welcome to stay on, or you can leave now. It's totally up to you guys. So the first thing on the business item is Patrick has requested a change to the LOCAC meeting date from the fourth Thursday of the month that we've had for 30 some years to the last Thursday of the month. And that's only 2 months out of the year where it would be an issue. So Patrick, do you want to?
Yes, this is just something that also I've been asked to discuss and possibly present here, which I am. The last Thursday of the month is usually what it is. It's 10 out of 12 times, that's what it is. So putting it as the last Thursday of the month would just make it easy for everybody else to remember. As you know, Bev or David even said, last Thursday of the month. Well, that's what most people think it is, but it's not, because we have 2 months that have 5 Thursdays in there. So whether it's been for 30 years or 40 years, who cares? Last Thursday of the month is usually what we're used to. Let's just make it that, so nobody forgets about it and we're all there on the last Thursday of the month.
Can I get a motion or a vote?
Do we have any public comment on that?
Well, we're on business items, which is for the council. So do we have any council? We have Andrea, you're up.
Thanks, Trish. And I appreciate your comments, Patrick, but I just it seems to me kind of a superfluous action. It doesn't seem necessary at all. And at this point, when we don't have a secretary doing any work, it seems like changing the website. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I can't support it. I understand, I understand what you're saying, but I just can't support it. It's in the whole realm of things. It's just not a big deal. Thanks.
You're welcome. Molly, you're up.
So I guess because I'm fairly new to LOCAC, my question is, has this become some kind of big problem, or what's the scope of the problem? Because I think it says on our agenda or on our website that it's the 4th Thursday of every month. I mean,
It
seems
has
like
not been an issue. It has not been an issue.
For
Okay.
some people, it has been. And it has also been noted that in 2023, there are 4 Thursdays of the year, not 2.
All right, clarification. Danielle, you're up.
Well, just on a personal level, it was a Herculean task to change my schedule for the 3rd and 4th Thursdays every month to make these meetings. And it just, for me, it's easier to keep it as is and not have some months be different. So on a personal note,
Thank you.
that's how I feel.
Perfect. That's what we need to hear. Kristen?
Same for me. And again, I would request that in the future, when we want agenda items, it is presented in a way that is constructive and adds explanation, because I already asked for this, but I want to be on record for saying this. It's very hard for me to get on board with something with no backing or evidence. When I hear someone says what I tell my employees when they say that, I was like, that usually means 1 or 2 people, and humans tend to generalize. So until I know it's taking up a lot of energy, there's 15,000 people here. If it's 2 people that we're talking about that might be excluded, we need to know that so we don't waste our energy and time on that. So that's my 2 cents.
2 people could represent 200 people.
Right, true. All right, can I get a motion to keep the date as is, as on the website?
Point of whatever order, you don't need to make a motion to keep. You just have to entertain a motion to change if that's what you want.
Okay. Do I get a motion to change the date? All in favor? Yes.
You don't need a vote. There's no motion.
We don't have a motion.
Oh. Okay. Can I do a motion?
Is there a motion?
No?
I think we
Oh,
stay
there is no
status quo.
motion.
Patrick, are you going to make a motion?
I make a motion that the meeting be retired tonight unless there's anything else in the business.
We do. We have one more item.
Okay, let's move to that.
So just so there was no action on the item that we just discussed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure. It was a little bit weird. Thank you.
It was very weird. So the last thing that we have on the agenda is, where's my sheet? It is getting late. So the last thing we have is reminder of the bylaws and who's allowed to send items to the county from LOCAC. When I put this item on the agenda, I wasn't aware of what transpired regarding the Owens project. I think council members are aware of my many reminders to not represent LOCAC to county leaders, to project representatives without approval from the committee chair or the chairperson of LOCAC. As a reminder also, our code of conduct, our standards, our policies and procedures, our bylaws, all state this fact. And Patrick, I want to bring this topic up to you because I've asked you to not contact county officials when you are wearing your LOCAC, when you're wearing your LOCAC hat, or if you've been approved to speak. Normally you fight back saying you aren't representing LOCAC, yet you are using your LOCAC email address. You sign it with District 1, your LOCAC role. You cite your constituents and you CC LOCAC. And I've got many samples of that here. Before you get your chance to respond, Patrick, I would like Deborah to discuss her conversations yesterday with the Owens and the Owens real estate person.
Yeah. So The Owens project is in Cabrillo Estates. That happens to be my district. I reached out to them yesterday to make sure they understood the process of tonight's meeting. And so we were able to, talk a little bit about the project and what to expect when they came to the meeting. And they mentioned that they had had a conversation with Patrick prior to the land use meeting. And this is what they shared with me. He contacted them. He told them that the land use committee was evenly split on their project. 4 were in favor and 4 were opposed. He explained why he would not vote for their project. He directed them to the Sustainable Group website. The conversation he had with them lasted for about an hour, and the Owens were left trying to understand why land use would oppose the correction of their downstairs space, especially when they will be installing all new low flow fixtures and putting in xeriscape instead of grass. So the conversation apparently ended with Patrick stated that regardless of what the county does, we, and I put the we in quotes, will be appealing the project. The Owens were confused about who we would be. They thought it was the land use committee. So when I spoke to them yesterday to check in and make sure they understood this process, and I heard about this conversation, I had to explain to them that Patrick often wears 2 hats, one as LOCAC and one as chair of the Sustainable Group, and that appealing projects is not something that LOCAC does. And by the way, the Owens did understand that the downstairs space was unpermitted, as was stated in the disclosure by the realtor. But what they did not know is that the space had been rented out and had been reported to the county as an illegal rental by the neighbor. When they say they had no idea about illegal activity at their home, they were referring to the rental of the space. So as you know, land use did not vote on this project, but sent it directly to us, and we passed it this evening. But after the land use meeting, Patrick took it upon himself to reach out to the listing agent of the property and inquire about the disclosures that were made about the property. The listing agent supplied information showing that the unpermitted area was disclosed on the proper documents. Patrick then shared this private information with all the members of the council. And I know that you've all received this, but I'm going to read this to you. This was a project presented at the last land use committee meeting and will be coming to LOCAC in the near future. The excerpt below is from the minutes of that meeting, which have been posted. As you can read, the new owners, Dave and Nancy Owens, stated they were unaware that the addition of the guest quarters on this property were built without necessary permits. And this fact was not known until after escrow closed. As a licensed real estate broker, that concerned me. So I spoke with the listing broker, and then he includes the email from that broker. As you may know, upon listing a property, disclosure forms are required and must be shared with prospective buyers. Please look at, and there were 2 attachments. He refers you to these attachments showing that the forms had the disclosures and that these forms were signed by the buyers. This information is being shared with the permission of the listing agent and is not public information, nor should it be a basis for rejection of this project. And then he goes on to talk about the project some more, but I mean, it really begs the question, if it's not a basis for rejection of the project, then why is he sharing it? It's my understanding that this email was not approved by the chair of the committee, as he states. And in my opinion, this behavior is not appropriate for a council member, and it's not in keeping with our bylaws. I would also like to say that the chair of the committee, who was made aware of all this behind the scenes activity, really did nothing to correct this behavior. So this is a problem for me. This kind of like using LOCAC information and then pushing an agenda that is not something within LOCAC, I don't think it's appropriate, and I think it needs to stop.
Thank you. I think one of my concerns is that we heard it from the Owens. I don't know how often this has happened in the past. And I think that this is a great disservice that has happened and hopefully has not happened many other times to our constituents, our project owners, our agents. So I wanted to open it to the council first, and then Patrick, you'll have your time for a rebuttal.
Well, shouldn't I say something so the council could have a little understanding of really what happened?
I would like the council first to talk and then have you talk after.
Sure.
Anything from the council? And Andrea.
Yeah, and I think these are some general comments. I will be interested to hear what Patrick says, but I am really concerned about this. And I go back to, I don't know, a year ago when we did I call it a team building. I know it was a strategic planning workshop, but it was really a team building with LOCAC members. And that was really my first experience with the group working together. And I know Patrick wasn't able to attend or chose not to attend, doesn't really matter. But I think we really are striving not to always agree. We definitely don't want that. We don't want to rubber stamp anything. But we're really working hard to work together and to communicate and to be a cohesive group. There's a lot of advisory councils. I was part of the Avila Beach one, and it was very different. And I look at this group and how well we've worked together, and I hope we can continue to do that. And again, I want to hear what Patrick has to say, but I'm concerned because this doesn't bode well for moving forward together as a team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. You very well expressed my thoughts as well.
Any other thoughts from council?
I'd like to hear from Patrick because I'm troubled by what happened, but I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, we will. Let's talk to Molly and then we'll.
Well, my thoughts about it are just like, what comes to my mind is LOCAC, for one, we are an advisory body only. If there's details about real estate sales or about permitting, we're looking, it's like the county is doing, in this case, the county is doing the work of taking in projects, reviewing projects, determining what's appropriate. Yes, some of these projects come through us for our recommendation on it, but we are not, we're representing the community, but we're advisory only, and we're not, there's not really, in my opinion, there's not really a good reason to get involved with someone like in the case of this Owens family, to get all into their business and go talk to their real estate person while you're representing LOCAC. It's obviously, I believe it's out of the scope of what our positions are, and it kind of puts us all in a bad light too if one member is kind of sort of semi-representing us, but also doing it on their own. It just seems like it probably created more confusion than anything else, and it's just it's outside the scope of our role.
Thank you, Molly. Patrick, would you like to chat?
I agree with what everybody is saying on that, dealing with it's outside of our scope of our role, and LOCAC and land use really is only advisory and stuff. So what happened is this. Let me first ask anybody, please raise your hand. Has anybody listened to the recording of the LOCAC meeting when this came before the committee?
You mean the land use? Because it just
Land use.
came before the
Yeah.
committee today.
Yeah, land use. Did anybody listen to the recording of the land use committee? Okay, so you know in there that they did say that they did not know that this was an unpermitted structure, which was the ADU, which is the way it was listed as, when they bought the property. That's what they said. Okay, all of this is public information. Dana Hunter sent a letter out that said, if you have any questions, contact me or call the owners. And they gave the owners a phone number. So I called up Dave and the Owens, and I introduced myself and I said, I am the chair of the sustainability group. But also I disclosed, I am also a member of LOCAC, but I'm speaking as the chair of the sustainability group. And then we talked about their project and what the project came from and the fact that, you know, we were concerned as the sustainability group and the community about our water issues in the area, and that, you know, we would probably oppose this if we still had an extra water use involved in it, such as the new bedroom and bathroom that was put into there. And that my suggestion as the sustainability chairperson would be, we could get this thing approved probably if you were to, you know, maybe remove the water structures from the resident or from that unapproved, unpermitted area, you know, and take it from that point. If that water structure is still going to be in there, most likely it's going to get appealed when it goes through the whole process. Appealed by the sustainability group, not LOCAC. And I made it very clear to them that I was not speaking as a LOCAC person or a land use person. I was speaking specifically as chair of the sustainability group. I got this information. This is all public information anybody could get. So it wasn't anything I was doing through the sustainability group. I mean, through LOCAC or anything. So forget the idea that I'm trying to represent LOCAC in doing this. Now, as far as other things going on, such as the noise ordinance and contacting the county, when I have constituents come to me and have a concern, I investigate just like it says to do in Exhibit B. I agree to consult with my constituents and to bring the knowledge, opinions, and concerns of my constituents to LOCAC in order to best represent their interests.
Yes,
And
and it says to bring it.
Excuse me, don't interrupt me, please. You do this all the time to people, and I would like to just have my chance now to talk. So when I have constituents come to me and ask me to get some information and to find out what's going on, and please put this on the agenda, I represent them. And when I talk to the county, I tell them I am District 1. I am not representing LOCAC. I am just getting information from my constituents. And you can look at the letters. I conveniently sent them to all of you, just out of you know, respecting what you guys do. And you all have those letters that I sent to Claire asking for this information. And we didn't have all this information. And if you remember what Claire said is that, you know, decibel levels is only 70 decibels on music, which is not amplified music. So if they're supposed to be looking at the decibel levels for the community. So I'm trying to help my constituents in the community. I am representing my district. When they come to me, I am not representing LOCAC, and I make that clear. So that's where it is at this point.
Okay. And as you read off with the bylaws, it says that you will bring them to LOCAC.
Where does it say that?
You just read that.
Yeah.
You just read that from the
But I
bylaws.
did bring them to LOCAC.
Yeah, no,
We
but
brought him to LOCAC tonight, and I brought him to LOCAC by putting it on the agenda.
But Patrick, let me talk now too. You first, before going through your chair of land use, which is the proper procedure, you did not go to Larry. You went directly to the county. You did not come through me. It says right here, I will not speak on behalf of LOCAC unless specifically authorized to do so.
And I wasn't.
Representing themselves as speaking for the committee without prior approval, which you did. I will refrain from representing my personal opinions as LOCAC positions.
Where are we reading this?
Code of conduct, policies and procedures, conflict of interest.
Right. So
And the bylaws.
I didn't represent LOCAC. I represented my district. And so what are we confusing?
But
Are we
your
confusing
district
the
is
Owens?
LOCAC.
Are we confusing the Owens project with the land or with the music, amplified music? Which one are we talking about?
I'm talking about the Owens project.
With Owens project, I did not go as a land use person. I went as the chair of the sustainability group. So forget about land use on that. That had nothing to do with land use. There's no reason for me to talk to Larry about it. I wasn't representing land use. I was representing the sustainability group. I made that clear.
But
So
you
now-
got the information about the Owens project from land
That is
use.
public information that is posted. You can get that from the county.
As far as I'm concerned, you are speaking on behalf of LOCAC when you contact Claire, when you contact them without getting approval from either your committee chair or from myself. And you've done that numerous times. And I have in emails, I've asked you not to do that.
Tell me again where it says that in our bylaws that
Under Code of Conduct, Section 5, I will refrain from representing my personal opinions as LOCAC positions. I will not speak on behalf of LOCAC unless specifically authorized to do so. Under conflict of interest, a conflict of interest may also involve a person or entity that has two or more relationships competing with each other for the person's loyalty. Under policies and procedures,
I don't understand. either one
members
these,
of
how that
committees
relates.
may be removed for cause at the request of the committee chairperson if they represent themselves as speaking for the committee without prior approval or failure to uphold standards and code of conduct.
Okay, thank you.
So
could you read each one of those first again? So read the first one that you read to me.
Larry's got his hand up. I'd be curious to see.
Larry? Larry?
Mute myself.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm feeling we're getting into a he said, she said argument here. And I don't mean Deborah, what you're saying, what was told to you by the Owens translated through you and interpreted to Patrick and going back the other way. Patrick says he made it perfectly clear he was talking from the sustainability group. You know, who knows how he was interpreted it, but they relate to no talking from.
I can't, Larry,
The-
you're cutting out. We
you're
can't
breaking up.
understand you.
Can you turn your screen off and it'll probably process it better?
Okay.
That's better.
Just better. Get closer.
Sorry about that.
Mhm.
Can't read video.
So
Go.
give it another go. and see.
Anyway, let me. The Owens said something to Deborah. Deborah relayed it and said it about Patrick. Patrick says he didn't. He represented himself from the sustainability group and not from LOCAC. So again, we're stuck in this, what the Owens said and what Patrick said, and who's to know which is which, I don't want to call anyone fibbers. I'm trying to think of a nice word for it. But what's there? There's a game used to play.
You're breaking up again, Larry. You're breaking up.
Long, but not the last person. It was the difference.
We can't hear you, Larry.
We can't hear you, Larry. You're breaking up.
And freezing.
And frozen. Okay, so
Can I speak to that, Trish?
yes, Deborah.
So, listen. Obviously, it wasn't made clear to them because they were confused. And as far as not representing LOCAC, why would they say that you told them the committee was split?
I did.
evenly, 4 in favor and 4 not. Why would they make that up? That doesn't even make sense.
No, you're,
They did talk about the sustainable group, but coming from the valley, these people have no concept of what the water situation is here and the different groups that are involved. So they can't really comprehend that, oh, that you're representing sustainable group and you're sitting on LOCAC. And I believe that this is the problem. There's a conflict here. You are on the land use committee and you're also representing the sustainable group. To me, I was hoping that wasn't going to be an issue when you came on the council. Clearly, this is an issue. I would like to make a motion that you are removed from that committee because I don't think you can serve as a LOCAC member on that committee and still have your chair position on the sustainable group.
well, let me just answer it in this way, first of all, Deborah, is that the sustainability group and LOCAC and the land use committee should not have any conflicting interests. The sustainability group at this point, and has been for the last 15 years, concerned about our water basin and the sustainability of that for the community. We should all have that concern. There is no conflict of interest. So if you feel otherwise, I can understand your position on that, where you live and everything else about that, but that's not an issue. So there is no conflict regarding LOCAC and the sustainability group.
Jim.
There's a conflict in how you behave, Patrick.
That's
This was not
your
correct behavior
that
to
is-
contact these people and tell them these things.
I was given that by the Dana Hunter. If you had any questions, contact the owner. I did, and I did so explaining who I was, but with full disclosure, I told them I was also on the land use committee, that this was going to be coming to.
And that
They-
you would not vote for this project.
Can we stop and I want to hear what Jim has to say.
Jim.
I think there's another issue here too that's kind of swept aside. I think Patrick going to the county, that's clearing it with the land use chair or the chair of the committee here is inappropriate and uncalled for.
I'd like to second Deborah's motion for that reason.
Okay, all in favor of, so I believe we have the option for a warning to Patrick.
I would suggest that he needs to make an extraordinary and a better job of that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be this confusion among everybody if Patrick, you had made it perfectly clear. Now, in your mind, you may have, but I think you have to be wary that when you wear two hats, people are confused on who you're talking, who's speaking to you. So you particularly have to make an extraordinary effort to make it clear that you're part of an advocacy group. You know, one of your hats is community advisory, and your other hat is that you're an advocate for a position. And those, you just have to be very careful when you present to people which hat you're wearing.
Thank you, John. And I really was. I tried my very best to do that. I only spoke, and out of courtesy, I was full disclosure and told them that I was with land use, but I am speaking, and I said that to them several times to make it very clear that I was the chair of the sustainability group and we were concerned about this project. So that's all it was. So I understand that
But I think as people have pointed out, they don't know sustainability group has been around for 15 years. They're just trying to get their project done. So you really have to make a particular effort if you're going to stay on LOCAC on this particular committee, that which hat you're wearing.
As a member of both groups, Patrick, it's very incumbent. You need to make sure if you want to speak for sustainability, it probably should be somebody other than you. Other members of the state.
Mhm.
You're a member of LOCAC and you can't divorce them.
Yep.
It's there. It's present. Whether you wanted to say, I'm here, but you're wearing two hats. You've got to separate it. And I don't think you can do it. That's why if you want to talk to the state, somebody else needs to make that comment.
Okay, Molly?
I am just not that clear of what the sustainability group is. Is it in any way associated with LOCAC or
No.
totally separate? It's a
Totally
totally
separate.
separate organization. Okay. Yeah, I think there's definitely a conflict going on here between these, you know, the person having Patrick having representing both groups, especially with the LOCAC land use issues. They're too close, but they have different goals, I think, the two organizations.
Yes, they do. So I think we have three options available to us tonight. Option one is give Patrick a final warning. Option two, give Patrick the final warning and removal from land use because it doesn't seem that he's communicating well with the chair there. And option three is a motion to remove. So we've got three options on the table.
We have a
I have a
motion to remove
motion.
from the table.
I'm
And a
I'm
second.
sorry. Trish, do you want to open it to any more members of the public before we move forward?
We're not bringing.
Oh, I'm
in the
sorry. Okay, gotcha.
This is our business section of our meeting.
Thank you.
I have a motion
I
on the
would
floor
prefer-
and I have a
I would
second.
li-
I call for the vote.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I missed the motion.
Yeah.
So
repeat.
motion-
Motion is
repeat your
that
motion?
Patrick should be removed from the land use committee.
do I have a second?
I seconded it.
Second, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Andrea and John.
No, I was in favor.
Oh, you're in favor.
Yeah,
John,
sorry. I
were
was
you
just
in
a little late.
favor?
Right. Let's do it
So
again.
all in
Vote again.
favor of removing Patrick from land use, raise your hand.
Trish, my vote's not for removing them.
Okay, so
think-
Larry and John are not for removing them. And the rest is for removal of Patrick from land use.
Brings Patrick up to do his sustainability mission. I think as long as he's on both, it makes a difference.
But he's not removed from LOCAC,
That's
and
in the committee.
but from land use committee. So I know that Deborah has already mentioned that if you would like to work on ad hoc water with her, she would love to have you.
Okay, let me
I've
just-
lost, I'm
let
sorry.
let me make a mention on this also, is that according to our bylaws, a committee has two members from LOCAC and also one member from the community. You need three members on a committee to have it working. Right now, you have one member on the committee. And no, I do not want to really be on the water committee. What I am going to actually do now is to join Larry Rayo and resign my position on LOCAC completely. So thank you very much. I appreciate all the time you guys do. Unfortunately, it's not much.
No. Wish you well, Patrick.
Wish you well. Thank you. I will adjourn the meeting tonight at 9:43. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.